The Trump administration is facing a massive legal battle, but this time it's not just about power, it's about control. Senator Mark Kelly is taking Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth to court, challenging his attempts to strip away the rights of military veterans. But here's the twist. It's not just about Kelly. This case is about every American who has ever served. What happens if Kelly wins? What happens if he loses? The stakes are higher than anyone is letting on. It started as a legal challenge, but what's unfolding is something far more dangerous. Senator Kelly isn't just defending his own rights. He's fighting for the integrity of every American who's ever served. This isn't an isolated case, and it's definitely not a one-time fight. Pete Hegseth's overreach signals a disturbing trend, the weaponization of power against veterans who speak out. But what does it mean when those who defended the country can't speak out against an administration without facing retaliation? What happens when the very people who fought for our freedoms are silenced? Senator Kelly didn't back down, and that's exactly why the administration's case is already collapsing. The Department of Defense has retreated from every extreme threat they made against Kelly. Initially, they promised drastic actions, court-martials, loss of rank, even death threats. But now, they're walking it all back. That's not just a retreat, it's an admission that their case has no foundation. The truth is, Kelly's legal battle is about one thing: protecting the rights of veterans. And yet notice what they didn't deny: Hegseth's own attempt to silence dissent, especially from those who've served. That's the part nobody's talking about. As Kelly's fight intensifies, the stakes grow even higher. What started as a legal dispute is rapidly morphing into a battle for the very fabric of democracy. The administration's initial threats against Kelly were harsh: court-martials, public disgrace, and even death by hanging. And yet, instead of folding, Kelly pushed back harder. This isn't just about one man. It's a warning shot to every veteran who's ever dared to speak out against the powers that be. Think about it. How often do we see the government backpedal this quickly? The normalization of intimidation and retaliation against those who've served is happening right in front of us. And once that line is crossed, how do we get it back? Now, the plot thickens. The Department of Defense is trying to play it off as an administrative issue, but the deeper you look, the more absurd it becomes. Pete Hegseth claims Kelly is undermining the military's integrity for telling service members they have a duty to refuse unlawful orders. That's not just a ridiculous claim, it's a blatant contradiction. Hegseth, who holds a position of immense power, is accusing a decorated Navy veteran of insurrection simply for upholding the principles the military is supposed to defend. But here's the kicker. Hegseth's move isn't just about Kelly, it's about sending a message to anyone who dares question the system. It's a message that says, stay silent or face the consequences. As this situation unfolds, it's clear the pressure is mounting and the administration is losing control. First, they threaten Kelly with extreme measures, then they walk it back. But what happens when those threats turn into something even worse? Now, the focus has shifted to an administrative punishment, a subtle but deadly tool of control. The stakes aren't just personal for Kelly, they're systemic. We're seeing how these maneuvers affect more than just one man. Veterans, military leaders, and even former officers are finding themselves targeted for simply speaking out. And it doesn't stop there. We're watching the collapse of a system meant to protect the very people who fought to defend it. What happens if this continues? How far will this administration push before it's too late? Now let's zoom out for a moment. This isn't just about Mark Kelly or even about Pete Hegseth. This is about you, the people who fought for the freedoms we take for granted. If you've ever served in the military, this is your fight too. Imagine living in a world where speaking your truth could cost you everything: your rank, your career, your legacy. That's the reality veterans face when intimidation becomes the norm. And it's not just about politics. It's about the right to speak freely, to stand up for what's right without fear of retribution. If this feels familiar, say so in the comments. Have you or someone you know faced similar pressure? This fight is personal for millions, and the outcome will impact us all. But here's the unsettling truth. This fight isn't just a clash of personalities. It's part of a larger system that thrives on fear, control, and intimidation. The very mechanisms that allow this to happen are rooted in power dynamics that make it difficult for anyone, veteran or civilian, to speak out without facing consequences. This isn't about one bad actor. It's about an entire system that's built to silence dissent. The administration knows that if they can make an example of Kelly, they can silence countless others. The message is clear. Challenge the system, and you risk losing everything. And yet we're only beginning to see how deep this runs. It's not just about intimidation. It's about the fear of what happens when that fear spreads. This is bigger than one case. It's about how power manipulates the narrative, controls the message, and reshapes what it means to be free. So where does this all lead? There are two paths ahead, and neither one is clear. On one hand, Senator Kelly could win his legal battle, sending a strong message that veterans' rights cannot be trampled by political power. On the other hand, if he loses, it could set a terrifying precedent, making it easier for those in power to target anyone who speaks out. The real question isn't whether Kelly will win or lose. It's what will happen to the millions of veterans and civilians watching this unfold. Will they stand up or will they stay silent? The system is already pushing back hard, but the momentum is building. There's no turning back now. The next move is coming. It's already forming in the background, and the consequences could be far-reaching. In the end, this fight isn't just about Mark Kelly or Pete Hegseth. It's about the future of freedom itself. When veterans who've served our country face retribution for speaking their truth, we all lose. The real danger isn't just the actions being taken now, it's what they set in motion for the future. This case is a wake-up call not just for veterans, but for every American who believes in the principles of free speech and justice. As we look forward, the question remains, will the system change, or will we continue down this path of intimidation and control? One thing is certain, we haven't seen the last of this. Stay tuned, because the next chapter is already in the making. If you're as fired up as we are, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We'll keep bringing you the stories that matter.